Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of DeadLine. I am blessed to be here and definitely fortunate to be here with Mr. Wally Moses, New Jersey Boxing Hall of Fame inductee and the grandfather of champion Shakur Stevenson. How you doing today, brother?
All right, and so.
Well, let's jump right into this here. You're a product of Newark. How's about parlaying and giving a little information on where you went to school at and things like that there?
Okay, I'm a product from the Valley. I went to military school, went to Malcolm X Shabazz. I went to a New Jersey Tool and Machine Institute, and I also went to Essex County Machine and Tool and Die course. So, pretty much I'm a native in here from Newark. Been in Newark the majority of my life, other than traveling outside boxing, but
Yes, sir.
yes, I'm a true native of Newark.
Okay. Well, let's get into your Kung Fu. I remember that. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, listen.
And I would like for you to explain the importance of men that were in your life as you are in your grandson's life. Can you just take your time and run that for us?
Well, I grew up with a lot of great influences, Unlike now, I think a lot of, us don't have that big security blanket or like that big brother in the neighborhood to fall back on. Like, when you and I were coming up, we pretty much done everything right in the street or right in the park or right everything else. And we always had either that big brother, that uncle, that cousin, or somebody that always took you out there to make you play. So we don't have that anymore. So, what we as Stevens and Moses, we try to do is try to bridge that gap between, kids having a person have that influence or that person to help them, guide them down their life and be there for them through their endeavors in life. So we want to bridge that gap and like partnership with them through their lives.
Have you found this to be the same intangibles that happen? You've been to several states within the United States. Have you found that to be the same there too?
Well, I found out that we have it because, thank God as brothers like yourself and us that, found that, giving back is not something that you may want to do, something that, somebody had to force. It's something like an obligation to us. We know it's our responsibility. So, we take it as our responsibility and it's no added burden or anything to us. So it's just a regular part of our life. So giving back, the commitment to the community. And what we also try to do is embellish our children with those same thoughts so they can grow up with that inspiration of coming back and giving and be a part of our society.
Now, you spoke of society. How does your integrity and your honesty go hand in hand with teaching all of the young kids that you've had that have become boxers and that have gone on to other endeavors and even turned around and gave back to the city that they came from?
Right. I'm glad you asked a question like that because, the truth, from about who we are, what we've done, and what we plan on doing, particularly when we involved with their lives, because there has to be a start, that you have to see the growth and there has to be a finish and a plan toward the finish for the outcome, because the outcome for us is always success, and failure is never an option. So what we try to do at every intangible, when we may see a breakdown or in a person's desire or his inspirations retrieved, we try to pick them back up in some kind of way, and we do that without giving them the experience of seeing other things in life other than their realm which they live in. We try to take them out of that through boxing, so they get the experience to see other people and other communities, how they come together. And I feel like boxing is one of the best camaraderies that you can bring an athlete. It's not saying anything disrespect to any other one, but you very seldom experience racism and all other things that we go through with all the other sports that all the other sports go through. And so, I think it's a great environment because it's a universal environment,
I would also piggyback on it there and say that from the aspect of in boxing being an individual sport as karate and wrestling, and that as you stated, you're the corner man. You see more and you have a much more cohesive closeness, whereas you can tell when your individual that you're training has done what he's been told to do, as far as sleep, as far as nutrition, as far as socially. So all of these tangibles that you're speaking of is basically what we've come through in the urban city on the northeastern seaboard, which is one of the major cities that predominantly has always had negative things to say, but Newark has so many jewels in it. Would you like to speak on some of the ones that grew up with you, if you can remember?
Well, you know, I have a great many that grew up with me, man, and you know, like it's an honor for me to talk about them because, you know, a lot of them came up under me, but there were a lot of them came up over me, you know. And I think I really try to emulate the success, you know, not the verbatim, the exact thing that do this here, but most of the successful things that you do, and I try to expand that out of my regular daily curriculum by keep educating myself within the sport and within sports science. So, you know, those things as far as intangibles that here in Newark that I really personally, just to speed up where we were from, is that I think those are a lot of things that we have to bring to get away from those old things, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, right now, you know, here in our city, you know, boxing has evolved away from us because you see, you know, we have some people that are more effective than others. So our whole goal through the city is to bring that effectiveness upon
to bring about a new life to boxing, as far as whereas the old under the Scudder homes and Hayes homes, those techniques, some of them are still valuable, and that would be more so the heart, the desire, and the work. But the techniques and the different things that have come up to par now, as far as using different, I think they call it isometric type of exercises, from the mental to the spiritual to the physical to the nutrition. That's what brings you to the new 21st millennium.
Well, we call it now sports science.
There you go.
Okay, you know, and it's very, you know, detrimental to sports performance nowadays, you know, because, you know, without it, you know, it helps you realize where you are, where you need to be, and exactly what you need to achieve as an athlete, you know.
And this is all athletics.
Right, because like, you know, when I left, you know, the U.S. Olympic system, you know, they were starting to get into the real statistical stuff where they were putting the gauges, judging the hand speed and turning, just to improve the accuracy of their punches and their technique and everything. And just like manufacturing and everything, you know, these things have been going on in boxing all the time for years and years. And, you know, and a lot of inner cities, you know, those things get away from. I find today you still have athletes that don't drink water and
Is
won't
it
drink
new
water.
to the United States, you would think?
Yeah.
So we're a little behind in that aspect, as far as Olympic style boxing and scoring and things of that nature there.
Sports science. Let me tell you, man, I went overseas and it was the first time that I ever seen equipment, universals made out of copper and brass and digital, you know. I had never seen a digital one. They may have them here in the U.S., but I've never seen it. And we talking about 2014, 2015.
And these are amateurs.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you like this here. We were in one tournament, and I think this was around 2014. They were giving the younger athletes, some of the winners, the iPhone 6. We were still on the iPhone 1 and 2. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that's how far they're ahead of us, you know. They get all that thing a lot before us, you know.
How fortunate do you feel to have been able to be a Geiger counter, for your grandson to understand where he is now, the torch that he holds, and also understand that he has beacons of light around him and pillars of strength that have all been with you since the beginning. How important is that there to tell the young people today of loyalty and trust and love? Because men don't speak of love a lot. Our time did. But they didn't hold us, but they told us in different ways. Whereas today, you can tell a young man or a young lad, I love you, and it's not taken the wrong way.
Right, right. Well, you know, it's really strange that, you know, a simple word as love be looked at so many different ways than whether than it really is. So when you say something to a person like, listen, man, I don't want you to go out there because you might get hurt or something. And the first thing come out there, I ain't gonna get hurt, I ain't scared. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to me, I ain't looking at it. And it's not worried about something done to you. It's about you just having a chance to do something for somebody else, your own, when you have a life and when you become a parent. So we're not talking about you right now, we're talking about you for the future. And that's what's most important. So we have to let these kids realize the real significance of making a decision, particularly one that's going to determine the outcome of their life. Because I ain't scared, I'll go to jail. And you know, anybody with any good sense, those are the things they say, I ain't never going to jail. Not a wow, I'm not going to never do nothing like that. I ain't going to never kill nobody. I don't want to get killed. You know, those are what people with sense say, that, you know, that brought up with a good common foundation, you know, good home. But the other people that you hear them say, I don't give a fuck, lock me up, you know what I'm saying? Excuse my friend, lock me up. And you know, those are the ones that you really...
This is live, ladies and gentlemen.
Excuse me.
And on the show, DeadLine, we're going to give it to you exact, profound, proficient, and exactly the way you should hear it to understand what's being said, because all television is not the same.
Wow.
So please understand that when I have my guests on here, sometimes they might have to go right down to the sticks for you to understand what we're saying. As they say, God had to speak Creole, so that meant everywhere he went, he had to speak their language, but they understood it. But the one thing you can say about me and Mr. Moses is that a smile is internationally known. And throughout this conversation, you have seen a smile from the both of us, because I love this brother, I respect this brother, and he has always supported me, and I try to do the same. But the last encounter I like to speak of mostly is that, how do you feel being that you have had to invest so much in your town and you had to get outside recognition in order to be received at home?
Well, you know, it's funny you should mention that, but that doesn't ruffle my feathers, because there's so much work out here to really do and saving these lives, because I've seen so many lost that have been under my tutelage and guidance, that it never takes precedence over the matter that, you know, we are trying to think that we are trying to achieve in life. So like a lot of things, personal, you know, goals and personal, I don't even, you know, a lot of time I forget about all of them, don't realize them until somebody tells me about them, because my mind is full with the things that are in front of me and the places where we need to be, and particularly the places, instead of the places where we were. I know, you know, like I said, right now, here with us, what we're trying to do is bring boxing into the, you know, the light that it's supposed to be, and train our athletes the way they're supposed to be trained in the era of now. You know what I'm saying? So now is the time that we really need it for us. And so I think what we want to really try to do, and with guys like you, myself, is just get it across and say, no matter what, no matter how many times we get slapped in the face, how much negativity we get, or how much nobody pay attention to us.
Well,
we
you know,
one day they will, because we're still going to be there.
You know what's funny about that there is that I come behind you, and I can remember with Mickey and a couple of the other guys that you played baseball with, and that was before you. And we've seen so many athletes come out of this town that were just geared and used for their athletic ability. I also want to bring to the point that you are now doing something with the social and the educational aspect and the nutritious aspect. And that's pertaining to Shakur Stevenson's, and it says Stevenson's and Moses Boxing Life Corporation. Can we get a close-up on this here, Mike? And this is something that you're very, very much behind, you and your wife. And being that they have the football combines,